Hey there guys, DMO73 here, bringing you the deck list for the green, white, red Wukong Control, kind of super ruler punish, I guess. There's really no really good way to describe it. It's a control build where your win con is Wukong. It's pretty much the best way to put it. So let's just go ahead and dig right in. This is a super fun list. My buddy Kiran, who went to Worlds, shipped me a version of this list. I tweaked it a little bit to my personal tastes, and then played it for you guys to show off on the channel. So Wukong is actually surprisingly strong, and I definitely think he really has a chance. He really has potential as a control ruler, just from a consistencies factor, and I'll kind of talk about the cards that I think really make that happen. So let's just dig right in. So his judgment cost right off the bat is 4, which is a lot. You know, we don't really have a lot of rulers that we think considered cost 4. But if you have both of his little minions, Zhu Bajie and Sha Wujing, out on the board, then he becomes only a 1 cost, 1 green to judgment. He's got Energize for green, and for 1 green, you can search your deck for a magic cloud. So a flying cloud, sorry. And this is one of the reasons why I think he has such potential, and so I'll kind of go into that piece when we get there. So he flips over, and he's a 10-10 off the bat, which is really, really strong. When he enters the field, you get to grab one of each of his minions and bring it to your hand, which is also really good. And for 0, you can just put a flying cloud into the field. Now, this is one of the reasons why he gets so strong, because each of the flying clouds, when they come in, is going to give him this kind of continuous stat pump, plus flying, which is just devastating sometimes to be your finishing move. So, really, really good, and we'll kind of talk about why I think he is a more control ruler when we get there. So going into the stone base, we play 4 rulers Memoria, because we do play enough Regalia to make that possible, and we want consistency in terms of our will count, or will base. Then we play 3 each of Gusting Skies for the white-green, and then Blasting Waves for the green-red. So obviously 10 sources for green, and then 7 each sources for white and red, which is good. Moving into the Resonator count, we run 4 Elvish Priests. This is just to help us ramp up, grab those flying clouds fast, be at a position where our cancel spells can keep being used. And it also kind of is an accelerator for Wukong, just because of the fact that he does cost so much to judgment, so this can accelerate that. We run 3 Melfee for more of a control package as well as ramping. And don't forget her errata, so it now is, if she's the second or later card that you've played that turn, or if you've played another card that turn, when she enters and resolves, instead of preventing all damage to J/Resonator, she targets a J/Resonator, and that target cannot do any damage. So she is essentially now a mini Feasting from the original Feasting card, which is really, really strong, and definitely puts green a much higher color base to be able to answer things like J-Rulers and stuff, and just prevent all that damage. Then we have 2 each of the minions. So 7-8 and 8-7 respectively. This one gives target attack and +2/+2, and your opponent pays more. This one is swiftness and +2/+2 for your ruler, and makes everything additions and regalia cost 1 more to play. We run 2 of each just because if we see one in your hand, when you flip, then you can, grab the other one, and so you're still actually getting the most value out of it possible. Unfortunately, like this guy, just for the fact that he gives swiftness, would be better in Wanderer, and we don't have Regalia, but this guy is the one that you're going to be playing the most often because of that precision and just the stronger attack, because we play Laeveteinn, so swiftness from a monster isn't as important. Moving into the final 3 monsters, we play 3 Pricia. It's in color, it's really easy to cast. We have a different way to give her flying an additional pump with Flying Cloud, and she's also thunder damage, so she can push your opponent into a range where Wukong can just flip and finish the job. Now moving into the spell lineup, we run 2 Wall of Wind for the early game cancels, and 4 Seal of Wind and Light for the later game cancels. Cancel spells are still strong. Wall of Wind is definitely a card that you can kind of force your opponent to play into, and can really, save your bacon sometimes. And Seal of Wind and Light is just good, being able to cancel anything. Then you run 3 Ferment of the World Tree. Now this is card number 2 as to why I think Wukong really has a place. So obviously you're going to take as many cards as you want, put them on the bottom of your deck, draw that many cards +1, and gain 800 life. And so we're going to talk a little bit more when we get to the end of this about why I think this card is so good with Wukong. And then we play one of a Heavenly Gust, just because we want to be able to pop off a Death Scythe or something like that if we need to, so that Wukong can get in and finish the game off. And then 3 Lightning Strikes just to fill in the last slots, to be able to, again, push that burn damage in. You really only need to get your opponent down to 2k life for Wukong to finish the job, and Lightning Strike helps you get there. Moving into the Regalia, we play 4 of Laeveteinn, maximum chance to give Wukong swiftness without having to rely on anything else. 4 bows for the early game control. You're not playing a lot of creatures, so dealing damage to stuff with bow, Melfees, lightning strikes, stuff like that. You can really make use of this card a lot. And then 1 of Horn of the Sacred Beast, just to be able to kind of cycle things if the game goes long in a control mirror. So that is the main list. So let me talk about why I like this guy so much for control. Oh, and then obviously we play 4 of Flying Cloud. I know people are only playing 3, but because we're playing a control list, we are going to play the full 4. And so let me tell you why this is so good in my opinion. So these 3 cards right here together make a really, really strong package. So Wukong is going to be the one who, whenever you have will at the end of a turn, you're always going to go ahead and grab your Magic Cloud, as many as you can. It's deck thinning. That will's going to go to waste the other way, and this way you get your deck thinned out and you have these cards in your hand. Now, once you got them in your hand, you can play Ferment on your turn, put them all back at the bottom of the deck, draw a ton of cards, gain some life, and then you're just going to be able to search them out later. So like you see in the games where every single turn I'm searching it, and when I played this at locals, I was fermenting about 3 to 4 Magic Clouds every single time and just drawing into a massive hand just because I was constantly refilling my hand with this, shipping them away, and then bringing them back with Wukong. I think that's a really good technique for control. I definitely think that in Wanderer format, that's going to have a lot of impact. You know, you combine it with things like Cheshire Cat and stuff like that for more draw power, and you're really going to see some pretty heavy stuff come out from Wukong control. So that is it for the list. Obviously, the sideboard would be dependent on your meta, so kind of just think about what you might want to play there. And you can remember you're kind of a control build and Wukong's your finisher there, so things to protect Wukong and stuff like that. Let me know what you guys thought of the list, what you would do differently. Again, huge shout out to Kiran for shipping me the list and allowing me to play it. And until next time, guys, this is DMO73 signing off.